Good morning. It's interesting that I was asked to speak on the value of Bible study after a sermon on passionate worshiping last week because I'm very passionate about Bible study. Not so passionate about speaking in front of you, but I want you to hear it from my heart and not from my voice. I grew up and was confirmed in the Methodist Church. I dedicated my life to Jesus at Camp Lucan, but had never been in a true Bible study, requiring work on my part. We moved to Middletown in 1977, and a friend invited me to the very first Bible study fellowship in Louisville in 1978. My eyes were truly open to the benefits and blessings of doing homework and digging deeper into God's Word. Not that I don't get a lot out of these wonderful sermons that we have, but you really do need to do it on your own. And I know from my husband's perspective too, and you teachers out there, you get a lot more out of your lesson when you're doing the preparation and the teaching. So spoon-fed is not the same thing as studying. I had a born-again experience with BSF that motivated me to study harder, which led to doing some precept studies here. All of these were wonderful opportunities to grow in my spiritual development, but it wasn't until I enrolled in the Image Bible study classes several years ago that I found where God was truly leading me. Isaiah 55:11 says, "So is my word that goes out from my mouth. It will not return to me empty, but will accomplish what I desire and achieve the purpose for which I sent it." God was telling me this because he wanted me not to only study his word, but to leave the safety of the classroom, to spread his word through actions of outreach. Image does this about every 6 weeks or so. It's one thing to learn God's teachings, but it's another to take it out into a secular world and to be his hands and feet. 2 years ago, the Image ladies decided to take cookies to every Louisville Metro police station. There are 8 of them, and over 1,500 officers. Well, our son, Chris, had been going through about 8 months of the most rigorous interviewing and test that you can possibly go. It was the 4th District that I decided to take cookies, and I, of course, any officer that I could get a hold of, I would, try to pick their brain. And I told her, I said, I have a son that's really trying hard to get in. Any suggestions? She said, just be patient. It takes a long time, and maybe several classes before he'll get in. And I told her I was praying very hard about it, but I knew I had to wait on God's timing. Well, God's timing is better than Chris's or mine. He got word that very afternoon that he had been accepted into the police academy. And you can guess now where he's stationed, the 4th District, which happens to be the busiest in the whole city, but that's another problem Mother has to deal with, But I called the officer anyway that day and told her, and of course she was surprised, and she said, well, I guess prayer works. And I told her it definitely worked, and I thought this was a neat example of how we can witness when we're out in the world. That was definitely a God incident and not a coincidence. Psalm 119:105 tells us, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light for my path. Where that path takes you is between you and God. Well, that path has taken me to the EACM food pantry every other week to volunteer, where I can help feed needy families, and that's another outcome of my taking Bible study out into the world. We just finished a summer study on Ruth, written by Liz Curtis Higgs, and learned a new word, Hesed, H-E-S-E-D, which means loving kindness. And those of us that were blessed to take the study this summer know it was truly a blessing. And this is what Liz had to say about Hesed. He's chosen us as well to share his good news with the poor, to bind up the brokenhearted, to comfort those who mourn, to provide for those who grieve. Whether that means ladling bowls of soup at a downtown mission, reading aloud to a person who's visually impaired, standing in line at a funeral home to offer a word of comfort, or taking a meal to a Sunday school member who has buried a loved one. These are acts of living proof that God's Hesed still bears in the hearts of believers today. To me, this is what Bible study is all about, to learn his word so that we can grow in our faith and share this faith with others. I encourage all of you to be very intentional in your growth development by getting into his word now. Thank you.